comprehensible input sounds great in theory, but it doesn't. But it doesn't work, or at least is completely inefficient, which is Mikkel's entire point. I'm not willing to invest 2,000 hours into something that might work. I want real results. I've spent the last 9 months trying comprehensible input, and I can't speak at all. Yes, that's the problem. That happened to me as well with several languages. Understood that 100% everything easily. I read dozens of books in the language, and I can name the languages as well. Happened to me with French, happened to me with Italian, happened to me with Portuguese. Until I started doing specific exercises for speaking, I couldn't speak the languages, despite knowing all the vocab and all the grammar and understanding the languages really, really well, like effortlessly. Because I mean, they're not that different from Spanish. But yeah, over 100 books that I read in French, and I still couldn't have a proper conversation. Just, I mean, I could say things, but you know, I really struggled to form sentences, and I didn't have, for some reason, I didn't have the vocab. Well, later I figured out why, because that vocab was, I understood it, but then when I needed it, I couldn't recall fast enough that vocabulary, so I couldn't use it in real time. That's the problem with comprehensible input. Yes, comprehensible input is good. You should do it 100%, but it's not the only thing you should be doing at all. I've been reading a lot of Paul Nation stuff recently, and I agree for the most part with his view on this instead of Krashen's. Paul Nation says that around 25% of your learning time should be comprehensible input, which I agree with. Most of it should be, especially in the beginning, just learn more vocab. Even later on, you should learn more and more vocab. Learn more vocab, do speaking exercises, active recall, shadowing, all that kind of stuff. And then do some listening every day. Yes, and reading also. It's good, but do not expect to become fluent just by reading and watching videos and listening, because it doesn't work like that. Speaking is a skill. You need to practice a skill. Like, for example, a comparison. It's a lot of people will say that it doesn't make sense, but anyone who is into sports will understand this. I'm injured right now. My shoulder is not destroyed, but it's damaged. I can't really do any kind of martial arts, and I've been like that for a few months. So I'm watching loads of, and I'm gonna make a video on this, by the way. Watching lots of instructional videos to learn techniques, jujitsu, different submissions and sweeps and throws, and judo throws, and wrestling and all that. And I'm using active recall in a way that makes sense if you can't physically execute the moves. So I'm learning them by watching videos. I'll watch the video. Okay, this is how you throw someone from over under this position, that position. Like this is how you counter whatever move. And there's a series of. It's basically like learning a sentence, right? It's like learning a long sentence. Like you put your hand here and your leg here, and you push here, and then you move this way, and so it's like a bunch of steps, like 5, 10 steps that you have to execute properly in a row. If you just watch the video, instructional video, that's basically nothing. If you don't actually try to do those exercises, like when you don't practice in real life and you don't drill them, like if you just try, like you watch the video and you try to execute them in real life in a sparring session, you might be able to pull it off if you're an athletic freak, but probably not if you don't drill them. But I can't even drill them. So will I learn just by watching videos? No. I am using active recall, and it's still not as effective as not as effective as drilling them and then doing them live. But just right after watching the video, and then all the previous videos from previous days, if I just visualize myself in the position and then visualize myself executing all the moves and try to remember, okay, this was hand here first, and I push this, and I grab the knee, and try to remember in order all the moves, and then try again. This is going to make me remember much better. It's still not anywhere near as good as drilling them in real life, because in real life you have to remember all the steps and also execute it, so you develop the muscle memory. But at the moment, it's the best thing I can do. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking so much about. Anyway, yeah, comprehensible inputs alone. Obviously, it's way better than nothing, and you should do some comprehensible input, but you should do everything else as well. And specifically for speaking, focus on speaking exercises, active recall, shadowing, lots of listening and repeating, like lots of drilling, same sentences over and over again, and then those same sentences translate into the target language and get feedback. You learn with feedback and you learn by trying, like trial and error and feedback and drill. That's how you learn skills. And speaking is a skill. Comprehension is a skill as well, but it's a different one. They're related, but they're not exactly the same. Anyway, that was way too much just to say that comprehensible input by itself is not enough.